What I'm getting is like a reverse of the crisis of manhood that we have today, where, and especially in the Kikuyu, so a lot of sons of single mothers who have no father figure in their lives. So nobody teaches them how to be men or how to be husbands. And then that's what I'm hearing tones of that also.
As it happens with all discussions of men and masculinity, the conversation landed at the crisis of masculinity as a factor of absent fathers. Women raising children on their own, absent father figures, apparently is one of the reasons men don't know how to man, or how to husband, or how to father. Every time this crisis of manhood conversation comes up and people bring up the alleged fatherlessness crisis, all I can think of is how society has overhyped the importance of men, and by extension fathers. I'm convinced that we grossly overestimate the importance of men and fathers, because we live in a society that grossly overestimates the importance of men altogether. In a society in which men are above women, boys prized above girls, we are obviously going to overvalue men's contribution to society. This argument about how crucial men are is a product of living in a patriarchal society which demonizes any attempt to remove men from positions and privileges they previously just held. It's why we demonize lesbians, single women, and single mothers. It's like, if you're not entertaining men and giving them room in your life, there's something wrong with you, and there's something critical you're missing as a result. So lesbians are flawed, as are single women, single mothers, and children raised by single mothers. Men, by their very presence, don't bring any special value to women and children's lives. There's nothing inherently special about having a penis. Men add value to women's lives by the things they do, not just by their very presence. It's not enough to just have a man in the house so that your children can have a father figure. Are you kidding me? Children need adults around them who love and care for them and prioritize their well-being. They don't just need people of a certain gender to be present. This overestimation of men's value and contribution also has a second side, which is the devaluing of women's contributions. So, even if a woman is present, children still end up being individuals who are lacking in one way or another because a man wasn't present. Women are just never enough or complete on their own. They can't do nothing right without men present. Patriarchal society grossly overestimates the importance of men in general and their importance in the lives of women and children. Children do not need men to show them how to be a man or a husband or a father. They don't. Children simply need people who will teach them how to live in peace with nature and other people. People who will teach them how to be kind and compassionate and committed to the well-being of all people, including nature and animals, not just themselves. That's what they need to learn. They don't need to see the performance of the male-female relationship in order to know how to be good partners. If anything, the truth is children learn everything that is wrong with the male-female dynamic by observing their parents. They see how their parents interact and internalize those values, assuming that to be the way things are and should be. The children of the future do not need patriarchal men to distort their understanding of how people should treat each other. And why does he do that? Randy Bancroft talks about how children of abusive mothers don't end up hating women, but children who grow up in homes with abusive men absorb these negative attitudes about women from watching their fathers. Quote, it is important to note that research has shown that men who have abusive mothers do not tend to develop especially negative attitudes towards females, but men who have abusive fathers do. The disrespect that abusive men show their female partners and their daughters is often absorbed by their sons. It's not just abuse. Having a man who does not respect women in the house only models that for your children. We don't need men. We need good adults who love and care for the kids. That's it. That's what children need. There's nothing special men bring to the table just because of their penis having. This idea that men raised by single mothers are not good fathers or husbands because they didn't have any men modeling it is so ridiculous. You only need to look around you to debunk it. You only need to look at the men who had fathers in their homes to realize that it's not all that. It's not the flex people think it is. People don't become poor husbands because they lacked father figures and models to follow. They become poor husbands and fathers precisely because they did. You're better off winging it and following the example of the loving parent that was present than looking for a man to learn from. So the way I see it, there's no fatherhood crisis. There are no father wounds. It's all made up. There's a sociological principle that states that what matters is not whether something is true. What matters is what people believe to be true, what they consider to be real, which then has real consequences. Quote, things that people imagine, provided they're imagined similarly by large enough numbers of people, can have an enduring and even oppressive reality, indistinguishable from the objective world. In considering how we explain our actions, the American social psychologist W.I. Thomas wrote that if people define situations as real, then they are real in their consequences. The man who believes his house is on fire will run from it. That the house does not burn down proves his belief was wrong, but nonetheless, to understand why the man evacuates his house, what matters is his belief and not the truth. End quote. I'm convinced that the only reason people experience all that deep hurt because of an absent father is because collectively we believe there's something special about men and that not having them leaves this huge gap in our lives. Not having a parent of either gender is painful. That rejection is not imagined, but our collective belief that specifically lacking a father has this extra special negative effect, that's made up. That's a product of living in a male supremacist world. Lacking the love and affection of a parent of either gender is painful. It's not a special pain because that parent is a man. The only reason we think fathers miss and pain is more painful is because we believe it is. It's like reverse placebo, where we are making ourselves sick. Emancipate yourself from that limiting belief that men are extra special, and when kids don't have them, their lives end up kind of fucked. They ain't all that. Whatever suffering you're experiencing is not unique to not having a father or having a trash one. It's just suffering because you missed having a present, loving parent. Their genitalia has nothing to do with any of it. There is no fatherhood crisis except in your mind.
And maybe create spaces for men to be emotional.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That's
create
what
spaces.
Pastor Baby did.
And it's amazing. Yeah.
I remember I was going to Mavuno Church, and there's this thing he used to do. He was doing a sermon series. He used to go every year. Do I don't know that twice a year, a 4 week
4 to 8 weeks
on fatherhood, fatherhood and fatherhoods.
Yes, and I think it's important. And I think this is something that should be continued, not just in church but outside of church.
And what he would do towards the end of the sermon is just call men to the front and hug them.
Yes,
and that was like most of these men. Some of them were CEO of organizations. As government chief officers in some ministry,
and they've never been hugged because they have to be
tough. Hugged in their life, and they would cry, like real tears.
Yes.
Yeah.
The church and other patriarchal institutions will keep hyping up this alleged masculinity and fatherhood crisis because it is a cash cow. How much do men pay to both churches and secular institutions to be taught how to be men, how to be husbands, how to be fathers? This hype isn't going anywhere soon. As long as people believe lacking a man, a father, a husband has this huge psychological impact, there would be money to be made from it, and all sorts of people would be fanning the flames.